So we have taken a call and a decision
To be official then.
officially to rename the Lady Hyde Park to Pannong Light in memory of a female freedom fighter.
Politics is dynamic. Issues are changing. Expectations are high. This is where you'll hear our leaders speak. Are we ready? Let's start.
Good evening. Welcome.
How shall I call you, Honorable Minister?
I'm just a junior and a great admirer of you. So you can call me anything you want.
Call him, okay, Mr. James Sangma.
Come, please.
Good.
Come.
We admire you from home. I said, James does all work and Conrad is diplomat. Good combination, no?
Yeah, it is actually. We've always had this nice combination right from the beginning.
Yeah. Please. I'm very happy to have you here for this free and frank discussion.
Thank you so much.
I've known your family for many years and it's very good to know you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure, really.
You are a very busy person. I see people coming to your house day in and day out. Then you go to assembly and still you manage to meet us. How you manage?
I think this is part and parcel of public life or political life for that matter, where when you're in the grind, you don't realize how tired you are till you hit the sack and you're about to go to sleep, and then we just shut off and very, very deep sleep. So I think we wake up very refreshed. And
but does it not disturb your family life? Your wife must have been very angry with you at times.
Yes, I think that way, yes. We are always living on that fringe of getting divorced anytime. Yes, that's true.
But love grows stronger after such incidents.
I hope so, yes.
Yeah,
I hope
good.
so.
Very good, very good. So now I'd like to ask you some relevant questions in the interest of the public through your work that you have done. You have got 2 departments, no, with you? Major departments.
In total, I have 8, but yeah, the major ones would be the Forest and Environment Department, the Health and Family Welfare Department, Taxation Department is also quite major, I would say. Then, of course, Food and Civil Supplies, which is, I would say, medium, and law also keeps us busy. So yes, but these are predominantly the major ones.
Before you joined politics, among the siblings, you joined quite late.
Yes, I think among us, you're very right in saying that, because my brother Conrad, he joined politics much before any of us. He was already the national president of the youth of the Nationalist Congress Party. That is in the year 1999, and he contested the by-elections in the year 2007, I think. And so he's very senior to us in terms of joining politics. I joined in 2008 to contest my first elections, and my younger sister Agatha, she contested her first elections as Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, in 2009.
And became minister.
Yes, she went on to become the youngest minister the country's ever seen, yes.
By age you are senior to Conrad, no?
Yes,
I'm
2 years senior.
Reconcile among the brothers, very nice. He is a diplomat and you are a workaholic, so the two combined together, very nice.
I think Conrad is more of a workaholic than me.
That I didn't know. So I'll come to the point straight away. According to National Family Health Survey, the report says that infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate are very high in the state. Even in the northeast, among the northeastern states, it's quite high. If you don't mind my language, they are comparable to the Bimaru states, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and then Uttar Pradesh.
Yes.
Don't you feel it's a bit sad to know about this?
I completely agree with you, Loniak, because when we look at health, the overall picture of health, I think it all starts with mothers and infant babies, right? So the health of a nation will eventually depend on the health of our mothers and our small baby infant children. And it has been a very, very difficult journey for us as a state, and the indicators are not very positive. We have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country, and our infant mortality rate is also very, very concerning. But over the years, particularly the past 2 years, with that special focus and thrust on taking care of pregnant women and infants and lactating mothers, and the kind of anemia that we have, the kind of special focus that the government has given, we've been able to bring down our IMR and our MMR.
Very good, very good.
In fact, infant mortality rate, I think, has come down by 18% in the last 2 years, and maternal mortality rate has come down by 8%. Or 8 or 9%. So that's a very encouraging, and the trend is such that I think it will keep coming down further in the next months and the year.
We are very happy to have learned that a state diagnostic center has been inaugurated at Pasteur Institute. It will be a great boon to the people of the state. And you intend to inaugurate another one also in Tura?
Yes.
Can you say a few words on this?
Yes. The state-of-the-art diagnostic center in Shillong, let me start with that. I think it's a wonderful project. As the name itself suggests, state-of-the-art diagnostic center. Today, diagnosis is the basis on which any kind of further medication or a prognosis can be arrived at. And in that way, to have a very, very sturdy and robust diagnostic setup is absolutely important, and that's why we do have many private centers where you have diagnostic centers. They have certain equipments in piecemeal, so somebody would have a CT scan, somebody would have an MRI. So this is something where everything comes together under one roof, and this is a government run diagnostic center in collaboration, that is in PPP with Suraksha JV. And this is a center where people can get diagnostic facilities and services at government rates. So this is going to be a game changer for us in Shillong, in our state, because many people in the past would have had to travel to Guwahati for certain tests.
To Belur or Bombay.
Correct. Now they can in Shillong itself, they can avail of these services. That's why it's very important that we have the same kind of setup in Garo Hills as well, in Tura at least, in one place to start off with, because Tura is, again, in terms of our health infrastructure, a lot needs to be done, and having a state-of-the-art diagnostic center in Garo Hills, in Tura particularly, is going to be very, very helpful to the people there. I have recently gone to inspect the sites available for the state-of-the-art diagnostic center, and Government of India mandates that a minimum of I think 7,500 square feet is required to have a diagnostic center. So I went recently to inspect, and we've located or identified a particular place in the campus of the Tura Civil Hospital, and it's enough to have a state-of-the-art diagnostic center. So we are initiating it now, and we hope that within this year itself we will be able to complete the entire process of at least the tendering process and whatever required to put that in place.
It's very good, James, because people spend more money on this kind of different testings. Not that medicine do not cost. Thank you for this.
Yes.
Now I'll come to you with another question related to this. The central government has recently introduced Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Saudi project, PMBJP, now say Yojana Policy Mata. There they have spelled out, initially they started with less than 100 such centers, then later on more than 600. And recently in the budget, last year budget, Prime Minister has assured that there will be 10,000 such centers.
True.
Where affordable medicines will be given to the people who suffer from cancer, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, then there's chronic gastroenteritis. Don't you feel that the state government can negotiate with center for starting these centers at different districts of the state, so that everything need not come to Shillong?
Yes.
Because forgive me, because the area that they have proposed, you need not half or more than that. Only 120 square feet is enough to sell this affordable medicine.
Yes.
And they give preference to unemployed nurses, A&Ms, to pharmacists, even doctors who are retired, they can be there.
Very true.
For example, cancer medicine, which costs 6,500, will be only 600.
Yes, that's true. I mean, the Aushadhi Yojana is it's a wonderful scheme, and we are looking at how we can maximize taking advantage of that. Yes. As you rightly pointed out, that these medicines will go a very long way in really helping people, especially in rural areas, to take advantage of this and get timely medicine, and medicine that is subsidized and made available to them. So yes, we will be coordinating very closely with the Government of India for this, and and the maximum amount of these centers that we can start, we will be looking at how we can maximize it.
Especially in the districts,
yes,
in the rural areas.
Yes.
You need not come to Shillong or Tura.
Absolutely.
Because the aim of the government is every district should have.
Yes.
Now I come again, very important and pertinent. Recently the Chief Minister has announced on the floor of the Assembly that Shillong Medical College shall be scrapped or kept in abeyance for the time being, because the PPP mode didn't function well with that Kolkata-based company. How do you feel in this? That means it completely abandoned, or there's hope that it will be restarted?
So what happened is that there were many reasons why the Shillong Medical College could not see the light of day, and this is rather very unfortunate, because as a state, I think we are one of the few remaining states in the country which do not have their own medical college. I think in the Northeast, the only one apart from Meghalaya would be Nagaland, which does not have a medical college of its own. So and that's very sad for us, because Shillong has always been the education hub of the Northeast, and from being education hub of the Northeast to a state which does not even have a medical college of its own, when it has an IIM, where it has an NIFT, has NIGRIMS, is, I think, very, very unfortunate and sad. Therefore,
Nehu is there.
Even Nehu. So therefore, for us, the question of scrapping the entire project does not arise at all.
Very good, thank you.
That is just now for us. We want to see how we can, look at bringing this project back on track on PPP mode if need be, and to make sure that we expedite it. There are many difficulties with the previous agreement, and for which although the government is still examining it, the matter is under examination. But I feel that this is going to be a little difficult to go ahead with. So we will look at how we. So as you asked me whether we're scrapping this project. No, that's not the case. We will be having the Shillong Medical College, and we're really working very strong towards
time frame should be as early as possible.
As early as possible, yes.
I have met a few students after the inauguration of the Shillong Medical College. They were assured that they would be accommodated in the new Shillong Medical College. Verbally, I met them.
When was this?
About 5 years ago.
Oh, okay, fine.
Before your government came to power.
Okay.
Now these people, young boys, are very frustrated. I hope when they hear this news, somehow they can
absolutely
from there.
So
what about Tura Medical College?
It's good you asked that, Loniak, because see, I can understand the frustration of young students, especially for parents also, because during my stint as health minister, a lot of parents have come to me when it came to their seats for medical college seats. A lot of parents are very apprehensive to send their daughters to far off places. So from that I can really understand that there is really an urgent need to have our own medical college, and that would really sow the seeds for this new group of doctors that will come up. Parents will be more than willing to send their children here, study. They don't need to go far away. So that would be really good. And with that same kind of vision of having a medical college in Shillong, Tura Medical College is also something that was on the back burner. It was facing a lot of problems. I've reviewed it not once, not twice, many times. And we are sorting out the kind of sticky issues that are there with regards to the slow progress of the construction. And for me, I'm really, I'm taking this as one of my top priorities to see that Shillong Medical College and Tura Medical College see
but James, I feel it's a paradox. We have shortage of doctors, and we're supposed to start medical college, and we didn't.
True.
So these aspiring youths are really desperate.
Very true.
So we have a responsibility to the future generation.
Yes.
Future builders of the nation. Very good to hear your news. Now regarding this existing primary health center and then community health centers or even civil hospital at the different districts, some of these centers are not functioning well. Don't you feel that you need proper monitoring, especially in the far-flung regions of the state?
Yes, Loniak, I think one part of it is in terms of the weakness in our infrastructure. So to address that, we have worked out a source of funding whereby we can further strengthen and augment the infrastructure, the health infrastructure, not just at the primary and the the primary health centers and the CHCs and our district hospitals, but also at our sub-center levels.
Subsidiary center.
Yes, because the sub-centers are the primary point of contact for any kind of medical issue that may come about. So that's why we feel that the sub-centers have to be also strengthened at the same time, not just your PHCs, CHCs and your district hospitals. So we're doing that. That is in terms of our infrastructure requirements. Now, when I talk about infrastructure, it's not just the building per se. It's also infrastructure in terms of the equipments that are available, the kind of how well designed the building is. Because many of our buildings which are there for PHCs, CHCs, they are designed in a very simple manner. Now we want to integrate new concepts and new designs into our hospitals, into our PHCs, CHCs and sub-centers, so that they are practical from every sense and cater to that kind of medical need. So that's from the point of view of infrastructure. From the point of view of manpower, that's again a challenge, no doubt. And I think for us, more than doctors, we are facing acute shortage of specialists. So that is something that many of our civil hospitals and district hospitals don't have adequate number of specialists. We are facing acute shortage of that. So that's something that we're trying to address and we are trying to work out. But at the same time, the PPP model that the government of Meghalaya had worked out in the past has to some extent seen a lot of success, where we see that the number of OPD cases and the sittings have increased, the number of patients have increased in OPD. We've seen more institutional deliveries taking place because of the kind of the partners who are there in the PPP model, the NGOs which are running these, they go on a mission mode. So we've seen that kind of success. I believe that we as a government, we want to carry on with that, and I believe that in the future we will see a lot of success as we go on and start building up on that.
So, but James, don't you think it is right and proper that these doctors who go to villages should get some incentives? They are far away from their family, their children, and doctors serve day and night. Don't you feel that they should get incentives as an encouragement to them to serve in the rural areas? Not for long also, cannot be for 5-10 years.
Loniak, I think you'll be happy to learn that we are working on something like that. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag right now, but this is something that I am working on, and only when we have been able to sort of give it a more concrete shape will I make announcements about that. But yes, I can see the kind of challenges, the kind of difficulties our doctors face, and for us as a government, we would like that our doctors are completely motivated. It is being in the medical profession is a calling, and it is something that people having that kind of passion and having that kind of motivation is of utmost importance for them to really give 100% service to the people. So yes, I'm looking at it and we're working on it, but for now I would not like to really disclose.
Why I say this, because I've seen in your area below Dadengkiri, those plain belt, during the monsoon, doctors work 24 hours a day.
Yes.
I've experienced, I've seen some of them.
I agree with you, Loniak.
Since you are planning on that, you said the cat is not yet out of the bag. I hope the cat will be out of the bag soon.
I will let the cat out of, otherwise it will suffocate in the bag.
Before the election.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now I have taken too much time of your time and health, and now let's come to the environment, a very sensitive issue and very popular issue of the day. It is sad that India has taken part in the Glasgow conference recently, and the implementation part is not yet taking shape fully. Don't you feel it is so? What are your challenges for the state in general?
I think that COP26, the decisions that were taken, yes, a lot of people have spoken a lot of things, but I believe that we need to start moving away from the rhetoric, and we need to start focusing on deliverables. So, the environment is something I'm extremely passionate about, and I, as a Forest and Environment Minister, I feel very blessed that, and thankful to God that He has given me this opportunity to do something, firsthand as, as a minister. So, in terms of that, we believe that the need of the hour is to act, and we as a state, we are really, I feel, one of the very few states looking at the kind of unique position that we are in because of our rich biodiversity. It's one of the richest in the world. The fact that we act as a carbon sink for the rest of the country, and the fact that there are so many ecosystem services that our state is providing. I feel that it's time that we start having a new thought and idea about how do we protect our environment. So I think that here we are as a state trying to balance livelihoods along with protection of the environment, and I have come up with this new playbook and this new idea about how we can find a fine balance between that. And that is something
very tough.
It's tough, but I feel that the perfect balance between the two is to have something wherein a concept which I call the environment state. That means that we have eco services for which there's this new concept of the payment of eco services. Which has been launched by the government of Meghalaya. That is something in line with that. So that's where we're trying to find that kind of balance where you protect the forest, you protect our biodiversity, and you paid for it, because you need to put a value to that, right? The oxygen that goes into the air, that gives good health to all of us. You need to put a value to that. You need to monetize that. The kind of biodiversity that we have, you need to monetize, and you need to put a value to that. So that's the idea that we have, that all the kind of biodiversity, all the kind of ecosystem services that we are providing, we need to inventorize that. Before you even put a value to it, you inventorize it. Then you monetize it, and therefore things can move on in a way where the environment becomes the means of livelihood for people. So eco-tourism, as an example, is something that can really work out in terms of you protect the environment, and yet at the same time you have tourism activities, which is a sustainable way of development. and thereby it adds to the economy of the region, and people partake in something that is sustainable and is helping the environment. So that is something that we want to do, and we have a Nongkalim Wildlife Reserve, and that is where we are, as a forest department, starting a ecotourism resort there. It'll be something we feel as a showcase, as a demonstration, for people to see this is what you can do. You protect the environment and yet you earn. Yeah. There's a livelihood angle to it.
But
so like that.
The people have to be made aware of this. Poverty sometimes cloud the mind of the people. For example, I'll bring to your notice, in West Khas Hills especially, reckless wanton felling of trees take place and is taking place due to poverty, to sustain the family.
Absolutely.
For example, one tree called Texas Bacata, its bark is very good for curing of cancer. The bark costs 1,000 rupees per 100 liters, per 100 grams. But they cut the tree and get 5-6 bags of charcoal to sustain the family. So, and here the land belongs to the people.
Yeah.
So how do you intend to reconcile the conflict between livelihood and environmental preservation? Even in Karo Hills, jhum cultivation is still being practiced.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Before I go to that, I'm so happy you mentioned Taxus Bacata, because it brings back old memories for me.
Yeah, very good.
I remember, Bar John.
America,
no, not Texas. No, this is Taxus Bacata. Bar John Carduit, I think his name was. He's no longer, no more. I know.
Herbalist. He's a herbalist.
Yeah, he was a traditional medicine practitioner. A good friend, and I went to his village was somewhere near Smith only. Thangsning.
Yes,
so I remember.
Garden.
So Taxus Bacata brings back those memories when I was a documentary filmmaker. I spent a lot of time with him.
You were a producer,
yes.
Director also.
Yes.
Multifaceted personality.
Thank you. So I remember those days now. Taxus Bacata brings back those memories, because he used Taxus Bacata to as a means of treatment for his people. And it's very interesting that you mentioned Taxus Bacata today. And I mean, of course, the general thing about Taxus Bacata and the fact that people are chopping down this very, very rich plant or tree, and then using it for something so trivial like charcoal, it really, really is something that's really heartbreaking.
It really pains.
It pains, yes. And this is something that is also because it's not, you can't really blame people for that, because it's because of lack of awareness. And that is where I think we as leaders, as people, who should be informing them, should be telling them about this. This is where our role comes in. And
forgive me if I intervene, but poverty is there. How you explain common sense to a person whose stomach is empty?
Absolutely, you cannot. You cannot.
Unless you give some alternatives.
Absolutely. And that's why that's where government of Meghalaya, that's where I have been working on this concept of the environment state, as I told you, wherein we bring in a balance between livelihoods and the environment. So you're right, a person on an empty stomach, the last thing on his mind would be climate change. The last thing on his mind would be global warming and the future generations and their safety. That's the last thing. It's a basic instinct of any human being to always address his needs, be it hunger or be it other things. So that way, you're right that this is not going to register with him.
Yeah.
So that's where we as a state, me as a forest minister, I'm bringing this idea and this concept that we need to start moving away from extractive, economic practices and go into more of, nature-oriented, sustainable growth, which needs to come in. Traditional medicine, for example. I mean, this is something, because you mentioned Taxus Bacata, I just want to tie this up with this conversation. Taxus Bacata and other traditional medicines, there is this plethora of knowledge that we have in our state, where if we were to just document this and give that kind of support system to our traditional healers, there is this huge market for it. So I had this chopal, in the village just near what do you call it, Barapani Lake, and there we had sitting with all the villagers there, and so the name of the village is, I'm so sorry,
okay.
huh?
Near Barapani.
Yeah. And there we had this thing, and we were talking about how these kind of traditional medicines and these kind of traditional herbs can be marketed in terms of traditional medicinal spas and resorts or healing centers. So look at the kind of market there is for such kind of things, which is sustainable, and again, it's not ecotourism, but it's medicinal tourism.
You can follow like the system of Ayush on this aspect.
Correct.
Alternative medicine.
Correct. Alternative medicine in lines with Ayush, but Ayush here with a conservation angle. We are trying to preserve the biodiversity and the rich, biodiversity in terms of these medicinal plants.
I've got a suggestion to keep to you, if you don't mind. In Nihu, we have got a Northeast Biodiversity Research Cell. I used to be connected with them. We have got a professor, one Don CM. He's from biochemistry. He's doing in tissue culture.
Yeah.
And then you've got another Rava. He's a fishery. Then we have got another best carbohydrate from zoology. So we work together in this, together with tissue culture, so that the people can have substitute for that. And additionally, the central government has recently brought a scheme of giving free ration to the poor people. Don't you think it's good to include this under this free ration scheme for these people who depend on charcoal?
Yes.
You can identify them.
Yes, yes.
We can always steps of central government, free rationing.
Yes, we can always explore that, Loniak, yes.
So I'll come to another. Don't you find that sometimes in your implementation of schemes, there is conflict between development and environment? Because here the land belongs to the people.
I think what you are referring to is where the Shillong Dauki Road was being constructed.
That's one.
That's one example of it, right? Yes.
JICA project.
Yes.
Japanese collaboration.
Yes. So yes, there is always, I mean, as the saying goes, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So there is always this fine, balance, or there is always a choice one has to make in terms of development, or anything in that, for that matter, any thing comes at a certain cost, and that cost is the environment. That cost is also sometimes in terms of the society. There's always a cost that society has to bear when it comes to development, but that is something that we need to live with, and that is something we need to balance. That is something that we need to find the best possible way wherein there is the least effect on our ecology and our on our environment. And that's been as a government, as the MDA government, we have always been striving and putting in extra effort to make sure the impact on the environment is the least. If you notice, we as a government, the Honorable Chief Minister, also myself, all our leaders, we've always been very, very careful about such kind of things, and as a government, I think we have shown that we are very, very concerned about the environment. A lot of criticism has taken place in terms of mining and things like that, but then Honorable Chief Minister has mentioned it so many times in the course of the assembly that there is development and there is again the impact on the environment, but growth has to take place. Sure. And that's where we've tried to find that fine balance.
But anyway, I think you have to compensate for these trees that your government has felled and replant somewhere else.
Yes.
Because for every tree you cut, you should plant 100 trees or 10 trees.
Yes. Although, for me, we as a government, we have been very, very focused on our afforestation activities. But here I think that we have to start eventually drawing a line, and that that line would basically be that where do we stop this whole concept of chopping down one tree and planting 100 in its place, because that I feel will eventually keep on justifying people to keep on chopping old trees which are more than 100 years old. These are you can't measure the kind of wealth of that tree which has grown over the past 100 years.
California, thousands of years.
The sequoia trees? Yes, the sequoia
historical.
trees. They're historical.
And cultural also. For
absolutely. So for us also, we need to draw that line.
Yeah.
That, I mean, where do we stop cutting down trees and justifying it by planting another 100 trees? That is something that for me, I want to move towards that, where eventually people don't need to cut trees. Eventually people will say, this is the wealth, this is my means of livelihood, and my something that is going
cultural heritage also.
Cultural heritage, and something that will feed me eventually. So we want to transition from an economy which is just looking at how we extract our mineral resources to something that moves and shifts and does this paradigm shift to looking at how we protect and preserve our forest wealth and make it our source of livelihood.
As you said earlier, ecotourism. In America, you've got the Yosemite Park, very famous.
Yes.
Thousands of tourists visit a day. So we can emulate the example here. So of course, that will take time.
And in Japan, you have the concept of forest bathing, which is basically people pay you to go to the forest and meditate there, hug these trees, and get positive energy and vibes from that. That's what the concept is. And people actually pay money to go to these forests and do forest bathing. That's what it's called. It's not like literally bathing with water, but it's immersing yourself in the experience of a forest.
Like the Bishnoi tribe of Uttar Pradesh. Good. Now come to that balance between environment and development. So from these forest products, for example, or these agricultural products, we can have an ecosystem service that pays to the entrepreneurs. For example, from the pineapple, they can get
from the skin you can get vegan. You can make vegan leather. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there are other plants also you can do that. No?
Yes. So I have been advocating this for a very long time, because being vegan is a concept which is catching on really fast, especially among millennials. Today, a lot of millennials are, moving from being vegetarian, or for that matter, non-vegetarian, to becoming vegan. And they don't buy products which has even 1% of leather in it, because of their belief in being true vegans. So, something like that. So, the concept of vegan leather, which is extracted from the skin of pineapples, is something that big fashion houses like Hugo Boss, like Stella McCartney, all these big fashion houses have started shifting and transitioning not from normal leather made from hide, animal hide, to vegan leather. So this is something that's catching on, and I feel there's a huge market for that. Considering
so it will replace plastic even. So we can introduce that concept in our state also. It's a challenge to you.
Yes, it has already started, Loniak.
Started where?
Yes, there are certain entrepreneurs who are, developing vegan leather, and I'm very, very, passionate about it, and we are trying to give them as much help as possible, and we're trying to also identify other entrepreneurs who may be out there, below the radar, who we have not discovered, and we want to reach out to them and provide that kind of support, because we have that kind of network with the big fashion houses, and we can probably have this kind of a tie-up or link-up which they may lack, because this is a very, very niche product. So it needs to have that proper market linkage.
The awareness program should be held, because people throw away the skin to the pigs or even to the roads.
Absolutely.
So awareness program, it brings them money.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Now I come to the next issue concerning this. Very good to see that government has come up with scientific mining. 17 applicants have been accepted. Very good. And you have given them kind of instructions, so they should do very good. Nevertheless, the damage done in the past will take time to rectify. But we go into the future, hopefully everything will be okay. However, as had been brought yesterday or day before yesterday on this Umgat River, pollution. Rivers are being polluted, not an inch long around the state.
True.
Even in Canal River in your Karo Hills is being polluted recklessly. So don't you think that something should be done on this?
Loniak, for me, as I said, I am very passionate about the environment, and it really pains me to see the kind of rampant pollution of rivers, especially, biodegradable plastic waste. Non-biodegradable plastic waste.
It takes millions of years to
It takes
degrade.
millions of years. It chokes the rivers. It literally kills the rivers. This is apart from the kind of acid mine drainage that happens from some of the coal mine areas. So all these kind of pollutants which we are, because it's also lack of awareness, of sensitization of people who don't who feel that a stream running in their backyard is like a drain. So you just dump your waste in it and it'll just flow and disappear. It doesn't stay there. So that kind of lack of awareness, that kind of lack of common sense of people is actually very sad. And you're right, the rivers in Garo Hills also are going through that really tough phase, because these markets which are there, local markets, these markets are getting bigger and bigger as the population increases. There's the markets keep getting bigger, and then everything that is a waste, be it plastic or anything else, is thrown and dumped into the river which is next to the market. So it's really bad. So we have a river rejuvenation committee which I spoke about in the assembly recently, and that is precisely to look into all this, for which we have only identified 7 rivers as of now. So Waumkra and Umshirpi being 2 of them. So these are 2 rivers, but of course there are 5 other rivers.
Canal.
Yes.
Simsangiri.
Yes. So all these rivers are, for us, water is life.
Because Kasil Road, Kinchi River also drying up.
Drying up. So that's another matter, Rivers drying up is another matter.
But
the pollution of the rivers is another matter. But nonetheless,
environment. Anyway,
since we're on this topic,
you can have a multidisciplinary get together, multi-departmental actions and reactions.
So the challenge, Loniak, is basically that as a government, there are various departments. So as forest, we are responsible for the forest cover. As soil and water conservation, for looking after the water catchment areas. Then the water resources department, which is to look after the rivers. Then streams and rivers which run or flow through cities would come under the purview of the urban affairs department, so on and so forth. So there's these multitude of departments. The real challenge is how to bring everyone together, collaborate and coordinate things.
And come with joint resolution.
Correct. So that's the challenge that is there. But we are doing that. The MBDA is trying, the Meghalaya Basin Development Agency is trying to bring all these things under one umbrella and seeing how these interdepartments of the government can come together and work cohesively and coordinate with each other, and to see that kind of action plan that we work out on the river rejuvenation scheme, the committee, can be put into action, into place.
So let's hope your colleagues cooperate in having this joint departmental meeting and joint departmental decision and come up with a concrete solution. After all, the planet is going to die out.
Absolutely.
But James, I come to one very important issue in environment, coexistence of the creatures of God. There's a saying that the existence of human beings also depend on the existence of animals. For example, that Lady Hyder Park, don't you think it's a small park where you put the animals under cage and food also not properly fed?
The Lady Hyder Park that you just mentioned about is something that I have gone there and visited it, and as you rightly said, that animals, or for that matter God's creatures, be it an animal, be it an insect, be it even for the matter plants or trees, everything plays a part in the a delicate ecological balance that we all talk about very often. And that way we need to make sure that we try to maintain that balance as much as possible, even to the scale of the smallest insect, which we may sometimes feel it to be very insignificant, but that insect also plays a very, very crucial role in the fine ecological balance there is. So you mentioned about Lady Hydri Park, and I visited Lady Hydri Park many times. About 5-6 months back. Okay. And I went there to see the animals that are there, and it really broke my heart to see this beautiful clouded leopard, and you should see that it's being kept caged and confined in such a small space. It broke my heart, and that's what prompted me to make sure that at least to have a bigger space made available to the clouded leopard. At least I am, for the record, I am very much against the idea of zoos, against the idea of having enclosed spaces. But here, we need to move these animals out. We can't let them out into the wild, because they would be completely out of place in the wild. They would not survive. So for that matter, we need to at least keep them in some respectable space. So that the zoo project of Meghalaya State Zoo, that's coming up in Riboy district. I've been following that up, and we are expecting that we will be inaugurating it sometime in the end of this year. And we will be able to move out these animals and take them to the state zoo very soon, hopefully whenever it is completed, and that would at least give them some more space where they can at least run around and all that, and not be confined to a cage which is 6 feet by 6 feet. It's actually very sad. And it's very interesting you mentioned about the Lady Hydri Park. The Lady Hydri Park is something also that when you say Lady Hydri Park, it just gives me that sense of this colonial hangover that people still have, of these tidbits of the British rule that is still filtering on and continuing even today. And we have gone through this idea and this concept which has been given to us by many people about renaming it to Pannong Light, which is yes, she's a lady, she's a freedom fighter. And when we celebrate 50 years of our statehood, when we are celebrating 75 years of our independence, I think that it would be really a great tribute to our freedom fighters, the ones who are lesser known. Like for example, Pannong Light is one of the lesser known freedom fighters, but I think that we need to pay tribute and honor their sacrifices and the kind of their contributions to our freedom struggle. And one of the best way possible is to name such kind of places after them.
Good.
So we have taken a call and a decision to
be official then.
Officially to rename the Lady Hydri Park to Pannong Light in memory of a female freedom fighter. And being a matrilineal society, it gives us great pride that we had a woman who stood up to the British, who took part in the freedom struggle. It is a matter of great pride, and this is our small way of acknowledging that.
Yeah, very good. I appreciate that. And now we have come to the end of all this thing. Now we'll come to more interesting part, politics. As you have said, politics is dynamic. Issues are changing, and we need a solution according to the need of the people of the day. So this dynamic. So how do you feel about your National People's Party? You must feel happy. So many are joining.
Yes.
Every day, not a single day escape.
That is so true. People are joining every day. You're right. It's prolific, in fact. So we are very thankful to God. I'll tell you, Loniak. I mean, for us, it's always something that we never forget in our political journey, that God plays a very, very important role. and we're thankful to him for blessing us and for always the kind of support that he's always, showered us, blessings that he showered us with. And today we as a political party, we are a very young political party, as you know. But despite being a young political party, today we are one of the 8 national parties, which is no mean achievement, no small achievement. And it gives us a lot of...
How many years has gone? 10 years, no?
It's, well, ever since my father took over, late father was in the year 2012. So you can say 10 years of our existence from the date when my late father took over. In that short span of time, we've achieved, in fact, we became a national party in the year 2019. So that is, in fact, just 7 years into our, party, and we are already a national party. So it's really something, it gives us a great sense of pride, and we are very thankful for all the countless blessings God blesses us with. And Manipur election also for us was something which we are very thankful for to the people of Manipur.
Yeah, you have improved your seat there and
Correct.
percentage of votes.
Correct. We
nearly double, no?
Tripled.
Oh,
our vote share has tripled. So we were 4 MLAs and we have jumped to 7. That is, an increase of 3 numbers of MLAs we've increased. Our vote share was earlier 5.1%. Presently it is 17.36%, if I'm not wrong. So that's nearly a 3-fold increase in our vote share. And also we are the 2nd largest party in Manipur right now after the BJP. We have overtaken the Congress party for that matter, and we are now a very formidable force in Manipur, and we hope and we pray that the people of Manipur will continue to have that trust and faith in our party, in our leadership, and will continue to support us. So yes, that way the party is growing, and every day, as you rightly said, many leaders in Meghalaya are joining.
Many are joining.
Yeah, I think that's
good sign.
Good sign. And when people ask me that what do you see as the reason for this sudden spurt of leaders, prominent leaders joining the political party, and for the kind of growth that you're seeing, I tell them that it's very simple, that our political party, the ideology which my late father laid out for the party, which is to have a party which would provide a platform for the people of Northeast who have always felt very alienated, have always felt very neglected, to come together, because our motto is one voice, one Northeast, which basically in very, very simple terms means that if we do not unite and join in chorus, and come together and with one voice demand for our rights and for what is due to us, we will never be able to get what is rightfully ours. And that feeling of neglect will always be there, not now, not like 1 year, but for a much, much longer time. So that kind of idea really resonates well with the youth of today. It has resonated well with many of the prominent leaders in the Northeast, especially in Meghalaya. That's why I think that's happening. And secondly, also because I think our leadership, be it Conrad, who's also our national president, I think that he provides that beacon of hope, that freshness that is required in terms of the kind of leadership that we've been seeing over the years, of people all big talk, no action. So that is something people are sick and tired of.
As
and
you said earlier, paradigm shift.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift that's taking place in terms of the perception that people have of what a leader should be, what a political party should be. And that is something that's happening, and that is what we are as a political party being able to offer. And when I talk about all talk, no action, see, that is something as a government, NPP, when we have been given the opportunity, we have shown that kind of performance in the state of Meghalaya. And today, Meghalaya is undoubtedly one of the best performing states in the country, not in Northeast, in the country.
During these last few years, yes.
Last few years. You must have seen the budget which the Honorable Chief Minister, which Conrad presented in the Assembly. And it just goes to show, it's a reflection of how focused, the NPP party is in terms to where we want to take the state forward. It goes to show that it's not just the vision and the direction that we're looking at, it also goes to show that we know how to reach there. Because many people may have the ideas, but they don't have the wherewithal to really implement those ideas and to take it forward. But as a party, we've shown that we have both the vision and the means and the idea of how to go about it. So I think that this is the reason why, two simple reasons why people today are coming to the NPP. They are very happy to join hands and become part of the family of the NPP family, and we are very thankful to God for that, and thankful to everyone who's given that kind of support and love.
I may add something else. I've entered the house of many politicians. When I entered your house, the first impression was the photo of your father.
Thank you.
That's very good. And the progress of this party must be mostly due to your father. And respect for the father and the mother who walk silently. I know your family must be really appear in you, because you are leading by action,
yes,
not by words only. So very good.
Thank you so
credit
much,
to your father, and you remember him always. So now I come back to the scenario in the state. People were shocked, not surprised. They were shocked when the 5 Congress joined you. And not only that, you were more shocked when the government accepted them.
Yes.
What explanation have you got to keep in this?
Yes. I think not just people, I was shocked as well.
Oh, you were shocked?
No, that's just on a lighter note. But Loniak, I think that...
to interrupt, nowhere else this has happened.
No, you're absolutely right. Nowhere else.
To accept your, you can say, the tough enemy last election and not work together.
Yes. I think, we need to also start looking away from the politics of things, and we need to now, as our president, our chief minister has been mentioning about this, that it's time we start to move away from the rhetoric of politics and start looking at governance, at delivery, and things like that. And that's where I appreciate, the Congress MLAs coming forward and supporting the government today. For them, I think it's very, very clear that that this is a government that is delivering, that is providing that kind of development to its people, and has a vision and is implementing that. And I appreciate that they're coming forward. Well, it's very easy to criticize anybody, right?
Of course.
And criticism is a part and parcel of public life. We understand that, but then it is more important to really understand that you need to go beyond that criticism, and when you see something good happening, support it. And that is, for me, something I'm really appreciative of these 5 Congress MLAs who've come and shown that kind of support, setting aside all political differences or setting aside whatever ideological differences and coming forward and partaking in the development process. I think that way I am very appreciative of that, and well, yeah, but I pleasantly shocked, I would say.
You see, James, they say that in politics, to be too much humble is so not good. It doesn't pay dividends. So don't you realize that you should appreciate your party for accepting them?
Yes,
your
now
minister
this is
and
very...
your colleagues.
I agree with you. So, I mean, if you look at it, you rightly mentioned that nowhere in the country do you have a situation where the Congress and the BJP, which are polar opposites, coming together and being in the same government.
And
Meghalaya.
Accepting them.
And we, as a as a principal,
allotting portfolios to them for the development of the state.
Correct. So I think Meghalaya that way can be a real showcase of how people can always come together. Why is there this aversion to the idea of coming together and all of us joining hands and working together? I don't understand that, but Meghalaya has shown the way, and I think that it will go very, very long way and become a case study in the future where people will refer to government, the state of Meghalaya, and say that, wow, it worked in Meghalaya, why can't it work in the rest of the country for that matter, right? So I think that we don't want to take credit, or we don't want to say,
we say that credit goes to you. Perhaps humility prevents you from saying it openly, especially from the camera. But people are saying it.
Okay, I mean, it's nice to hear that. But I'll tell you honestly, for us, you know, if the choice is, you know, politics or, you know, governance and the people, it'll always be governance and the people.
Yeah.
That is what, you know, the kind of mandate that has been given to any political leader who has gone through elections, who has won elections. That is the mandate. The mandate is not to go and promote your ideology and do all these kind of politicking. It is to go and give to the people what they deserve in the democratic setup.
So, James, thank you very much. It
You're
was
welcome.
quite interesting to talk to you. I wish you could go on, but time constraints there.
Yes.
You have to do a lot of work. You are visiting your people. You are making a tour from tomorrow.
Yes.
I really congratulate you.
Thank you so
It was
much.
Very
Thank you.
good, very good, very nice to hear. I hope the people who listen to this program, they'll really appreciate.
Thank you so much.
And one thing I always talk to people, and people say, the sibling rivalry does not exist. You work together, lead by example, no?
Yes.
The Chota Bhai becomes lower and Bara Bhai becomes lower and Chota Bhai becomes the chief. You're not even deputy chief. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loniak.
All the best of luck.
You take care.
Kudos to your father. Mother works silently behind.
Always.
And your wife.
Always. I always acknowledge that.
Not break.
No, I was just joking.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But love becomes stronger.
Yes.
Thank you.